welcome back to the Professor Moville YouTube channel. Today's lecture will be Chapter 14, Consumer Decision Process and Problem Recognition. This is for my consumer behavior folks. We always start off in the same place. The consumer decision process is on the right-hand side. We're talking about page 2, slide 2. The same thing we look at with the external and internal influences on the left, the decision process on the right, and that's where we're living right now for this chapter. Okay? So when you think about a consumer decision, you think about someone spending a lot of time evaluating products or services and picking something that meets their needs and their budget. And that's true. It's true. That's true. That's something that we do. But a lot of times we make decisions, we buy stuff with very little effort. Very little thought goes into that purchase. We just make that purchase and that's that. Some decisions are based on feeling. Think about decisions, purchasing decisions you've made just based on feeling. What would some of those be? The product makes you feel good or your friends will like it. Consumer decisions are also based on having a problem. Like, when your gas light goes off on your way to school, you decide to get gas, and then maybe you get gas at the gas station near the Dunkin' Donuts, and that causes you to buy a large iced coffee with 2 cream and liquid sugar. I'm just saying that might be somebody's usual order. So imagine working in a marketing department for Dunkin' Donuts, trying to figure out how and why people are buying your products, how they get there, right? It's a lot of it, even for Dunkin' Donuts, just has to do with where they're located. So I want you to think about consumer decisions, not just the ones that you spend a lot of time working on, like when you picked a college or when you bought a car. Think about all those other consumer decisions you make, okay? So moving on to slide 4, we start talking about types of consumer decisions. So purchase involvement is not the same as product involvement. So someone may be obsessed with Starbucks as a brand or a product category or coffee in general. They don't have much purchase involvement because they just drive to Starbucks and they order their favorite drink without thinking. How many of you have a favorite drink at Starbucks? I do. Mine is either 2 things. It's either a grande non-fat chai hot, or it's a grande iced vanilla sweet cream. So those are my 2 orders. Depends on if I'm hot or cold. That's what I get. Not a ton of thought, but there's a little bit of involvement there. I've thought it through. I like the brand, so I'm more apt to go there. It's crazy, right? Moving on. Slide 5. This flow chart, you're going to have to, as you're going through this lecture, you're going to refer back to this flow chart a little bit for the next few slides. I know as I was preparing my notes for this, I was actually going through it a few times myself. So I would maybe keep this out next to your other slides. So this flow chart represents involvement in types of decision making. It's also figure 14-1, page 515 in your book. So if you look at the top, left to right, it's low involvement purchases to high involvement purchases. And we've talked about low involvement and high involvement, okay? So that's something from other chapters that you should understand. You will see nominal decision making, limited decision making, and extended decision making, okay? So you're going to see that right up at the top, okay? So we're going to talk about these types of decision making on the next slide. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, but we're going to keep referring back to this flow chart, okay? Just keep that in mind. So we're moving on to slide 6, and we're going to talk a little bit about types of decision making. So nominal decision making or habitual decision making. So habits, right? That's the key word there. You all know some of my habits already, right? I go to the store. I need ketchup. What's my brand? You all know it. You know I grab that Heinz ketchup and I put it in my cart and off I go. I don't think about it. It's just what I do. I'm brand loyal, right? Limited decision making, very similar to nominal. It's kind of that middle ground between nominal and extended. So you're going to do a little bit of internal and a little bit of extended search. It's for, here's an example. So if you see something that you've never bought, so a lot of times they have a lot of point of purchase stuff at different stores. Ladies, a lot of makeup and things are set up in really cool displays, like at Target or at Sephora or Ulta. And so it makes you stop and go, So sometimes purchases like that tend to give you a little bit more pause, where you think about it a little bit more. You might look at the price. You might look at the brand. You might spend a little bit more time, but not so much that it becomes extended decision making. That's extensive internal and external info searching, followed by you're looking at other alternatives. I mean, it's when you buy a car, that kind of thing. We're going to dig into this stuff in the next few slides, but that's just kind of the thinking. Nominal, limited, extended decision making. So we're on page 7, and we talk about nominal decision making. We go a little deeper here. The example they have of the woman on the slide, she buys the same brand of olive oil without considering other brands or the pricing. She just knows she likes that olive oil. So for me, one of my questions for you is, what are some things that you just blindly buy and why? Okay? So what are things that you buy them over and over again, and why? Okay? We're still on types of decision making limited. So the example that, one of the things here, the decision based only on buying the cheapest pasta. I mean, that could be, so that takes a little bit of research, looking at all the different pastas, trying to find the cheapest one. As it says on the slide, limited decision making is the middle ground between nominal and extended. Limited decision making involves recognizing a problem for which there are multiple solutions. So, there's times like right now. I know right now my hair feels a little dull. I've had to miss my hair appointment. I need a haircut, and I was trying to find something that I could put in my hair to kind of give it a little bit of life, not just the normal shampoo, conditioner. I need something because it feels really dull. So what did I do? I did a little bit of research. I talked to my hairdresser. I talked to a couple people, and I wound up ordering through my Instacart. I ordered a box of this gloss stuff that you put in your hair, and I haven't used it yet, so don't be looking at my hair. So I ordered this stuff that I'm going to use. Now, there was a little bit of research. Did I worry about it? Did I do as much research that I would do, buying a camera or a phone or a laptop? No. But again, there's these little nuances, these little steps. It wasn't something I just automatically bought. It was something I had to figure out and say, okay, I had kind of a problem. How can I solve it with a product or a service? Obviously, I can't go to my hairdresser right now. I miss her. Anyway. Extended decision making. Okay, so homes, laptops, cars, vacations, home theater systems, cell phones, some of you are photographers, so your camera equipment, all this stuff, you're going to spend time. You're going to look at reviews online. You're going to talk to your friends. You're going to look at alternatives. You're going to think about your budget. You're going to put the time and the energy into those purchases. The key here is the post-purchase evaluation. So if that gloss doesn't work on my hair and my hair looks fine or it just works a little bit, I'm not going to put much thought after the fact. I'm not going to really, there's not going to be a lot of post-purchase for me. When I buy my ketchup or when I get my usual order at Starbucks, there's not a lot of post-purchase thought to it. But there is when you buy a car and maybe it's not everything you thought the car would be, right? It could be that, you don't really like how the radio is set up or all of the computer stuff. It may not be just the way you like it, or there may be certain things that you have to get used to. But with these big purchases, there's always a post-purchase evaluation, always. And smart companies will always ask for that feedback, right? GM and Chevy does a great job of doing tons of surveys, asking you basically within a few weeks if you like your car, after a couple months if you like your car, what are some things you would change? They also do surveys about the dealership. How did the dealership treat you? What scores would you give the dealership? What could they improve on? So again, post-purchase evaluation is what is really one of the biggest differentiators for extended decision making. So now if we move on, we're on page 10, we're going to talk about the process of problem recognition. This is another one of those flowcharts that over the course of the next few slides you might want to flip back and look and just take a look and follow through, okay? Problem recognition is the result of a discrepancy between the desired state and the actual state, okay, that is sufficient to arouse and activate the decision process. So the problem recognition is that discrepancy between your desired state, which is the way you want to feel right now, and the actual state, which is the way you perceive your feelings at the present time. So I'm feeling, I don't know, I'm feeling hungry, or I'm feeling like I want something sweet maybe, and my desired state is to have that feeling go away, to satiate that sweet tooth. So I eat candy or, candy, which, I still don't have my cinnamon gummy bears yet. Amazon. Anyway, so problem recognition is that discrepancy between desired state, where you want to be, and actual state, which is where you are and how you feel, okay? This slide represents the process of problem recognition, which we'll talk about in the next few slides. So there's the active problem and the inactive problem. And again, that's why you're going to need to keep flipping back and looking at the flow chart because we're kind of walking through it. So in the book, for the active problem, there's a Febreze ad. It shows a pair of filthy, gross sneakers with the accurate assumption of a bad smell, right? Because usually sneakers are smelly if they're used a lot. And that buying Febreze can fix the problem. So Febreze has to convince the consumer that their product is the best solution to smelly sneakers. Okay? So that's an active problem. So the other example they use in the book is a ready.gov ad. So ready.gov is a website, okay? And it basically has a whole piece about planning for disasters. So making people aware of national disasters in their areas, how to solve the problems, what to do in case of an emergency. Ready.gov has to convince people that things like wildfires and earthquakes will affect them, and that their organization is where they need to go for information. I know that kind of sounds weird, like you have to convince someone that an earthquake might affect them. But if you think about it, we've had earthquakes in New York State, and you wouldn't think that New York State would have earthquakes. So I think it's more of a readiness for lots of people to understand what wildfires could do, different things like that. So that's the difference between active and inactive. Inactive, a marketer must convince consumers that they have a problem and their brand or service is the superior solution. Active only requires the marketer to convince customers that its brand is superior. You're not convincing me that those sneakers smell. You're convincing me that Febreze is your only solution. Now, slide 12. Okay. So slide 12 is also in the book. The non-marketing factors that affect the desired state. Because remember, we're talking about desired state and actual state. So the non-marketing factors that affect the desired state include all the stuff on that left-hand side. Culture and subculture, social status, reference groups, household characteristics, emotions, motives, situation. All those things affect where you want to be. Okay? I remember I lived in an apartment for a really long time. I loved living in an apartment. I hate doing yard work. I just liked not having tons of space. I liked to live pretty minimally, and it was really inexpensive. But I just remember my desired state started to change, where I wanted a house and a yard and more space and all sorts of different things. So my desired state was affected by my friends around me, the culture, financial stuff. I was making more money. I was stashing things away. I had money to buy a house. So again, desired state is affected by all that stuff on the left-hand side. The non-marketing factors that affect the actual state include all the stuff on the right. Past decisions, product or brand performance, individual development, emotions, situation. So you'll notice there's a few things that are similar. So the amount that these factors affect problem recognition depends on whether the desired state and the actual state, kind of how they are compared to each other. So is your desired state harder to attain? Is your actual state actually decent? I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. But if you think about actual state, you think about past decisions. Past decisions are what get you where you are. So things that you've made decisions. For myself, I decided to buy a house. The house that I'm living in now, my husband and I decided to buy a house. Was he my husband? No, he was not my husband at the time. Anyway, my boyfriend and I decided to buy a house and to get us to that desired state. Okay? But all the decisions I had made in my past, I had lived in an apartment, pretty minimal lifestyle. I traveled a lot. So a lot of things had to kind of change to get to this other desired state. Now, brands. So product or brand performance, that really comes to play. I've talked, I think, about Maytag appliances. I'll never buy another Maytag appliance because I had two of them that completely, within a year, completely died, and it was really, the customer service was terrible. And so I really have my actual state during that whole situation when my refrigerator died and we had gotten it fixed a bunch, and then they weren't covering it, and then I lost a lot of food, and blah. I was so unhappy. It was upsetting. It was annoying. It was dealing with customer service. It was just a whole mess. So, yeah, I'll never buy that brand again. So, moving on. This next slide basically is an ad. It's an ad by, I think it's a drug company. I'm not exactly sure, but basically this ad triggers problem recognition. So the problem here is basically you're telling baby boomers, and you all know that who that group is. You're basically saying you should make sure that you don't have hepatitis C. I guess that had happened due to blood transfusions and different things way back when, that they weren't testing for that. And so now they can do testing to see if you have hep C. And I believe they can give you drugs and stuff to manage it. And I think in many cases it does clear up, or it goes away, or gets cured. But I'm not a doctor, remember that. So this ad just illustrates the negative effects of not being tested. Okay. The next slide, slide 14, marketing folks have 4 concerns related to problem recognition. Discovering consumer problems, so what are customers facing? Responding to consumer problems, so how to develop the marketing mix to solve those problems. Helping customers recognize problems, and suppressing problem recognition. The next few slides kind of explains these concepts. So marketing strategy and problem recognition, discovering consumer problems, slide 15. So if you think about it and you start kind of very basic, simple intuition would be a common approach to discovering consumer problems. It can be wrong or not apply to large populations of consumers, but that can be a starting point. Really, marketing research is the key, right? It's the key. It's the surveys. It's the focus groups. It's collecting data, either reading comments on social media or ratings and comments on Google or on Amazon or Yelp or Travelocity or any of these sites. It's gathering data. There's so much data out there. This is the most data. Every day we gather more and more data. We've had more data in the last, I forgot what the stat was, in the last 10 years than we have in the last 200 or more years. So we're such a data-driven society, and that's what really drives marketing right now, okay? So that's discovering consumer problems, so you can easily figure them out by doing market research. It's why market research for marketing majors, it's why it's a core course for you to take. So they drill down on the next slide into discovering consumer problems, and they talk about 3 different types of analysis. Activity analysis, so that's focusing on activities like, say, mowing the lawn or swimming. Swimming's a good one. Creating products based on things like, for women, if you do a lot of swimming, especially in a lot of chlorine, what that can do to your hair. Today's the hair and shampoo lecture for some reason, and I keep touching my hair. But again, activity analysis, showing a lot of people that are very actively swimming in chlorine, what it does to their hair, how they could create products to make sure your hair gets damaged. That's creating a need. Product analysis, so that's examines the purchase or use of a particular brand. Consumers may be asked about problems associated with using a product or brand, like a laptop or a mountain bike. So that's just somewhat asking, what are the things that have worked with this laptop or with this bike, or as the example I used before, with my new car, with my Equinox, what are the things you really like about this car? It's getting product analysis feedback from the customer that has already purchased your product. I don't know why it took me a while to spit that out. Anyway, moving on to the third, problem analysis. So the example in the book deals with a study of packaging problems. Basically, it's asking questions like, what packaging is hard to open? What packages are hard to seal? Why? Packages of what don't fit in your pantry? So it's starting with a problem and drilling down and asking more and more questions. Okay? So there's more. On the next slide, they talk about human factors research. So this type of research can be used to design better products. Okay, it's why the lawnmower my husband uses looks very different than the lawnmower my grandfather used. Right? Through time, we're able to observe, use technology, and figure out what's better. I know the lawnmower my grandpa used to use was just a push. There was no, I forget what they call it. The lawnmower that my dad and my husband use has the little bar that you push and it kind of goes on its own. You don't have to really push hard. And it's more ergonomic for backs, and you can stand up straighter, and there's ease in using it. So human factors research really basically drills in to figure out how to make these products better and to solve problems that we may have. Slide 18, emotion research, that examines how consumers cope, how they cope with negative emotions. That could be one. Using the example of my Maytag example with my refrigerator, coping with negative emotions associated with a product or service failure. Well, the emotion was anger for me, and that's associated with the coping strategy of confrontation. And boy, was it. I had to speak to the manager's manager to say to them, I have not owned this refrigerator for a year. Why did this break? And why am I getting such a hard time from your company? So, I think there's a way to confront customer service. It's very near and dear to my heart. You should always be respectful. You shouldn't yell or raise your voice or curse, because you're not going to get anywhere. That's just a little life lesson. You're not going to get anywhere with somebody if you yell and scream. You're probably going to get much more attention if you're very calm and you just stick to the facts. That's a little sidebar. That's what I'd like to call a sidebar. Okay, moving on. Slide 19. So responding to consumer problems. So think about how companies are responding to consumer products right now. They're responding to consumer problems right now due to being in quarantine or fear of contracting COVID-19. What are some companies doing right now? I think that's a really good question that you guys can answer in comments, because I've seen a lot of interesting stuff, both on the side of trying to help people, but also trying to figure out how to keep your business alive in this climate of everything has to be shut down unless it's essential. So I think that's a really good question for you guys to answer in the comments. Comment below. That snort was my dog. I don't know if you heard that. He's snoring. Sorry. I guess I'm not super entertaining to him. Anyway. All right, so slide 20. Generic problem recognition versus selective problem recognition. So generic problem recognition, the example that I often use for this would be those Got Milk ads. Those are done by the Milk and Dairy Board Association or board or something like that. Basically just promoting milk, cow's milk, not a specific brand, just the product itself. Okay, so that would be a generic problem recognition. So basically they're promoting milk, because right now milk has a lot of competition. Almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk. Any oat milk drinkers out there? I can't roll with it. It's gross. Anyway, sorry. Selective problem recognition. So the example they use in the book are the Sleep Number beds. You know those Sleep Number beds? You've probably seen the digital commercials or different things. Those ads are focused on creating selective problem recognition. So their tagline in the ad in the book is snoring. Now there's an adjustment for that. And so I guess the beds, like you can click them and adjust them so if the person's snoring, you can lift their head up so they're less likely to snore, which is something I probably should buy for my husband. Yeah, I probably snore too. We'll both be up We'll both be sitting upright. No one will sleep. Anyway, so generic problem really it focuses on the generic product, and then selective problem drills in more, kind of focuses on that one thing. Like, there's lots of mattresses out there, but these Sleep Number beds do this specific thing. Other mattresses don't do. Okay? So the last slide, slide 21, helping consumers recognize problems. So, well, we're basically suppressing problem recognition. I need to highlight some of these things a little bit better in my notes. I'm not going to read all the stuff on this slide. What I'll say is the example here that I think really kind of speaks to suppressing problem recognition. And probably a lot of you haven't seen these because they were around when I was your age, 20-ish years ago. Newport cigarette ads, or cigarette ads in general. And there's not a lot of those, so maybe I could swap that with, say, vaping ads, but Newport cigarette ads was always a super attractive couple, and they were always having fun and being active and cool, and they would have a headline, "Alive with Pleasure." Well, why do you think they would have a headline that says "Alive with Pleasure"? Well, probably because underneath it would say, "Warning, the Surgeon General had determined that cigarette smoking is dangerous to your health." Or, I know there's other warnings. There's ones that actually say it causes cancer. There's ones that say it causes issues if you're pregnant. So, again, that's an example of a company trying to suppress problem recognition. And there have been tons of studies on especially with cigarettes and cigarette ads. Do these ads work? I don't know. You tell me. That could be another good conversation we have in the comments below. So, folks, that's the chapter. That is what chapter is this? 14? Good Lord, 14. That's chapter 14. Please comment below for your attendance for this lecture. Talk to me. I want to hear, answers to questions or thoughts you may have regarding this chapter. I hope you're enjoying these lectures. I hope you're doing great out there. I hope you're getting all your schoolwork done. And yeah, that's all I have for today. So I'm just going to sign off by saying be safe, be well, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.